Hi, everybody. This is Michelle and Brian from Stop Being Sold, a community with a mission to show you how to stop purchasing products that you don't need, stop buying financial products that you don't understand, and help you become a more informed consumer so you stop being sold once and for all. How are you doing, Brian?
Doing great today, Michelle. How about yourself?
Good, good, good. So we're going to cover today really financial advisors and what you need to know before you talk to one, and some key things before you even pick up the phone and have a conversation, because I think it's really important. A lot of people want help and they just don't know where to turn. I have an interesting, go ahead, Wood.
You're exactly right.
Yeah, I mean, it was that way for me for years. I didn't seek help because I didn't know what to do. I thought I was too poor, too young, too this, too that, too far away from retirement. And I didn't get the help for those reasons, but there are a ton of other reasons that people just aren't sure where to turn. So recently I just came across this. I was a JP Morgan 2021, I got my notes here, 2021 defined contribution plan participant survey. And it was, surveying 401k holders. And really interesting. So 75% of those participants in the study want help with 401k contribution advice. 53% want help selecting 401k investments, and 70% was not specific for 401k or not want professional advice about their retirement. Right? That's a lot of people, and whether you have a 401k or not doesn't matter. There's a lot of different types of advisors out there, and so anyway, without further ado, I just want to turn it over to you because you've been a financial advisor for 23 plus years. You have friends and colleagues who are financial advisors, and you deal with this on a daily basis. So I'll just kick it off to you. What's the one thing, if someone is unsure about getting help, you would say, hey, look, this is why you should do it?
Well, we need help. Everyone needs help in one form or another, and in different variations of help. Some are slightly educated, some as far as finances. Others have absolutely no clue. So help, and these stats that you just gave from this defined contribution study, pretty impressive stats showing that there's a transitional shift of people really wanting help from a professional. Back in the days, over my career, this has changed quite a bit, because for a while it was like, no, you stay away from advisors, don't do that. But I think people are more engaged with what they have today and are concerned of what to do, when to do it. So
would you say that there's more financial products available than there was 10 years ago, 20 years ago?
Oh my gosh, in the last 2 years, things that have hit the market. I mean, you could, look on Google some of the keywords and some of that stuff, and it's funny. In my office, CNBC's on literally 24/7, and every day there's a new term or a new slogan out, or it's like, what was that? Even as an advisor, I'm thinking, where did that just come out of?
Right. Yeah.
And so if it's confusing us that are actually in the field and as advisors in the business, it makes sense that the consumer will seek out help trying to understand this stuff.
Right. There's a lot. So let's talk a little bit about, I'll just start. I'll tell my story here. So one thing that I've noticed with myself, and I've talked about this before, is when I first needed help, this is years and years ago, I was like, I didn't know. It's kind of like a realtor. You see the signs everywhere, but when you actually need one, you're like, who do I call, right? So you go to family, you go to friends and what have you, and that's what I did. And I wasn't sure exactly what I needed, but I knew what I wanted, which was I needed a plan. I wanted someone to tell me what I needed to save and what I needed to do and what vehicle would be best for it. I just wanted money at the end of the day, right? So I just talked to the first person that was out there, and I barely did anything. I was like, hi, I want more money when I'm, 80. Help me. And that's pretty much as basic as it was. And this gentleman was very nice, but he spewed a bunch of information. I was like, that sounds smart. That sounds great. Gave me, told me my options. I went and Googled it. It was, Google had come out at that point. And I was just, I was like, okay, I'm going to choose this. And I just selected something that didn't even, and years later, literally like last year, I was like, why do I have this? Why do I actually have this when I could have that, which would be better for me tax-wise, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure.
So, I mean, it happens, right? It just happens. So what are some things that people need to know about, hiring a financial advisor or even just talking to one?
Well, you just brought up some very valuable points of you're stepping into the field 10 plus years ago and asking questions, and maybe, what I'm hearing is some of the questions you asked were maybe the wrong questions.
Mm-hmm.
And the advisor might have said, well, okay, we just take it down this road. Here's what I do.
Right.
A person like you, with your whatever your income is, whatever your background is, and you're like this person. So here, I found a plan for you. But it truly comes down to asking more questions to your advisor. So, and it's funny, a young lady, and I'll call her Jeanette, came to a workshop of mine years ago, and she loved the workshop, decided she wanted to sit down and have a meeting, came into the office, her and her husband came in the office, and it was like, okay, so trying to understand what she was trying to accomplish. And so, we're just sitting chatting about that. And she goes, well, I got a list of questions for you. And I'm thinking, yes, finally, somebody questions. She pulled out this yellow notebook and, the yellow line notebook, and there were 3 pages.
Holy cow.
Questions. And so our 1 hour initial consultation, it went over, definitely.
Right, for sure.
I use her as an example for everything today because she did the right thing. And, she's been a client now for 12, 13 years, maybe longer. I forget now. But anyways, it was the fact that she was prepared with the questions. And some of the questions that, I'll give you, how about 3? I'll give you 3 general questions that when you sit down with your advisor for the first meeting or whatever, ask these 3 questions just to start with, because it'll open a lot. Is this who you want to, this advisor who you want to continue the conversation with? Or maybe from these answers of these first 3 questions that maybe I need to be looking elsewhere. So,
Okay, so what's the first one?
I would say, what level of service does your firm provide? Does your firm just do investments? Do you do insurance? Maybe you do both. One of your key words that you mentioned was tax planning and understanding a more efficient way of doing this. So you need to know what level of service is going to come from that firm that you're interviewing. Understand what they do and what they can cover in that process. And think about this. I had another young lady came in, was in the interview process. I was number 3 in the interview process. And when she came in the office, she had a lot of questions and everything. I said, okay, what really came down to me was I asked her, I said, what are you truly looking for? Yeah. And she goes, well, I just need somebody to take care of this, and this. And so this is what I'm interviewing for. But one of the key words that she was, which would be number 2 in this list, the one question that popped out to me immediately was, are you a fiduciary?
And that's a big one. That's a big one.
It was so exciting to hear it. It's like, because you don't hear it. People steer away from that. Now you're starting to hear it more. You're starting to hear advertisements on TV. Fiduciary. Yeah, but fiduciary, So
let's just define it real quick. What is it?
Fiduciary. Somebody, an advisor, that will put your interest, Michelle, ahead of my own or ahead of the firm. Basically.
And they have to legally and ethically do that.
legally have to do it. And so finally, we're starting to hear that a lot more in the media today. And people are just out there searching for fiduciaries.
So how does this play out? Let's say I come to you, you're a fiduciary, you're a financial advisor who's a fiduciary who has the legal, like has to legally put my interests above yours. And I come to you and I'm like, look, I want to roll over my old 401k into an IRA, or what are my best options, right? Maybe let's start there. I want to open an IRA or whatever it is. How would that play out? Like, what does it look like for a non-fiduciary in general speaking terms? And what does it look like if it's a fiduciary?
Okay. So actually quite a big difference. And the word fiduciary is used broadly today.
Okay.
Anyone can say they're a fiduciary, but not actually be one. And it comes down to, if you truly don't understand that legally a fiduciary has to put you first. So let's just take a 401k rollover, for example. You've got an old 401k, you walked into my office, and here's what our process as a fiduciary is.
Right.
Now I'm interviewing you. You've already interviewed me as a fiduciary. You understand that. Now I'm interviewing you legally. I'm asking you a series of questions like, Michelle, you've got your 401k, you're, let's just say, for example, today, 45 years old. Okay. Mm-hmm. And when do you plan on retiring? How many years from now?
15 years.
Okay. 15 years. So we're looking for a long-term game plan here with your 401k. Now, is your income today, if we took your old 401k today and converted it into a Roth IRA today, how much would that affect your taxes this year to allow the funds to continue growing tax-free until you hit your retirement age?
Got it. I don't know.
I don't know. But there's,
I can find out.
So I would run a scenario on that for you to see if that makes sense. Also, what are your plans with these funds? Do you plan on just letting them grow to retirement? What's your risk tolerance? Are you a conservative investor? Are you a moderate investor? How about a aggressive investor? Are you somebody that likes to play with Bitcoin or play with cryptos or stuff like that? So the interview process is truly understanding what you're trying to do with that old 401k and where do you see it fitting into your long-term financial plan. Then I have to go back and do my work after asking you all these questions, put my, my interest to the side.
Right.
And that would lead into the next question that you must be asking is, how do you get paid? How does the advisor get paid? Because legally, I have to put, your compensation as an advisor has to be put aside while I put your interest ahead of my own. Does that make sense?
So you're not pushing a specific product. Yeah, financial product. I get that.
More than this other product over here. You got, kind of like the old game show. You got door A or door B. Which
right.
So I can't choose that legally as a fiduciary. I have to find what is very best for you based on the criteria questions that I ask you.
Got it.
So.
Okay. So I do have a quick question. You said that anyone can call themselves a fiduciary. So if I'm a consumer and I'm looking for like someone, if anyone can say it, how do you go about finding out if they really are? Is it in asking that third question about how you get paid?
Yeah.
Or is there fine print on the site or what?
No, the easiest way to do it is how do they get paid? Okay. If they're a fiduciary putting their interest ahead of your own, you're going to hear them say one of three things. Either they're fee only. Michelle, you've got your old 401k. I'm going to charge you a fee for actually moving them funds over. That's it.
Okay.
or fee-based. There's one that's called fee-based, meaning that, well, I charge a fee over on this side of the house, but if I do insurance over here, I'm also getting commissions. Now there's a conflict of interest automatically from that. So you've got to be able to understand that there are two parts of the business, and depending on how an advisor is licensed, can actually tell you that, and we'll go into much greater depth of that, how to separate the advisors based on how they're compensated, fiduciary versus non-fiduciary. So
in other videos, yeah, for
we'll
sure.
make that into another video. So
I think that should be. I'm sitting here going, oh, this would be a good one, just specifically on fiduciaries.
Yeah.
All right, so those 3 questions again. Let's go over them again.
Okay.
First 3 questions you need to ask.
Okay. What level of service would your firm provide to me as a new client?
Got it?
Okay. Second, are you a fiduciary? And third, how
you get paid? Got it.
That right there, the way they answer them questions there will help
Means you can go forward.
Determine if you want to move forward to ask the next series of questions and go deeper into the relationship, or it might, if they don't answer them to your liking, you might
go somewhere else.
Time to go somewhere else. Let me interview someone else, and don't be afraid to interview multiple people.
I was going to ask, how many people do you? I mean, is it just basically personal preference? How many people you should? I'm saying. What I'm hearing you saying is you should interview until you find the right person.
Right. Interview until you find the right fit for you.
Right fit for you. Yeah.
You'll get a good feeling of it. The value that the firm can provide to you. If we go back to that one client that she's a client now, but when she came in to interview our firm, she was looking for and somebody to take over her investments, someone to be able to handle her healthcare issues, someone to be able to, as she moved into retirement, being able to handle Medicare.
Got it. Yeah.
And as a holistic firm, we were able to do that. And when we laid down what our firm did, our 2 firms actually did, she was like, okay, I'm done with the interview process.
Right.
I
She got what she wanted.
Anyone else.
Right. Well, and you answered her 3 pages of questions, I'm assuming.
It was pretty exciting that way, but
right.
that's all right. And don't, as an advisor, if you're an advisor listening to this today, don't be afraid of them questions.
Right. No.
And don't be afraid to interview them in the same process. Because remember, you have to be able to work with this client that's sitting in front of you, this prospect that may be a client. You've got to get a good feeling about it also. And the consumer has to get the same type of feeling about you. So it's all about a relationship.
I was going to say it's a relationship, not a transaction, right? And it's an ongoing long-term relationship.
And
because needs change, things change, financial products change, taxes change, regulation, everything is constantly evolving. So
it's a revolving door at all times. And there's times that, that the consumer and the advisor will make a decision that, hey, this relationship isn't a good fit anymore. You may be better off going to this person here that has what you need to continue with the next phase of your
right.
So, and don't feel bad about that. Things change.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the biggest for me, just talking to people and just hearing things, watching other videos, just being out and about. And in my not 45 yet, but in my early 40s, I guess we could say, it's a topic. It's a thing. And it's amazing. It's, I'm in the financial world, and sometimes I'm like, what is that? But I know enough to ask, I'm like, it doesn't matter if you're a rocket scientist, a doctor, whatever you are, like the financial product business is can be very complex. It's often worded so that it seems more complex than it is. And it's like, if, and, or, nor, but for, if you do this, you shouldn't do that, but you could do this, but then it would affect you tax-wise. And we're not experts. You're a doctor, you're a rocket scientist, you're a writer, you're a school teacher, whatever you do. You're not in the business of this, right? And I think that, and also, I always heard like a chirping bird in my ear from my parents, you need to be saving for retirement. I was like 20. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'll probably die at 27. That's what I used to think.
Right.
I was like, whatever. And it wasn't until I was 30 and I was like, okay, I got to do this. But even then, I didn't get help because I thought I was too young or I didn't have enough accumulated yet, And luckily I found somebody who really helped me and was like, first thing you're going to do is this and you're going to do that. And then we're going to talk and got me on the right path. So
you gotta start somewhere. You're exactly right.
Totally. Absolutely. 100%. Okay. So anything else you want to add?
No, you bring up a lot of great points about this. It's a relationship building process.
Yeah.
What you truly are looking for. Look for that relationship where you feel comfortable, where you can sleep at night. How's that?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And don't deal with anyone who's going to bully you or talk down to you. I mean, I've heard a lot of stories about this, and it's like, not everybody's like that. It's just a few people. And that's unnecessary because it's your future. You got to be in charge.
Right.
Nobody's coming to save you.
You're right. And think of it this way. I remember when prospects came into the office that before they became clients, where husband and wife had completely different outlooks towards what their retirement was going to be. So an advisor better be able to answer to both of them and not one only. One over the other. Yeah. Nope. Absolutely. Yeah, no, always it's about the relationship of the whole process and bringing both of them sides together to create a uniform retirement that they'll both be happy with. So absolutely. That happened to my mom. Sorry, Mom. But he wouldn't listen to her for 20 years and only listen to my dad. It's a big problem. It is now. It is. It's a big problem. It has been in my 23 years in the business. So that's one of the very first things I was taught years ago. It was if there's one person in front of you or two people in front of you or three or whatever it is, every person in front of you has an opinion and deserves to be heard. For sure. Amen to that. On that note, great video. Thank you so much for these tips. If you like what we have here and you like our content, we'd love a subscribe so you don't miss another video. We put out videos on pretty much any topic having to do with, not being a transaction when it comes to financial products. And also like this video, we'd love some love so that others can find videos like it. And anything else, Brian? You good to go? Good to go. Thank you. All right. Well, thanks so much. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everyone.